Right. All my chargers going. Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Shout out to everybody who is tuning in and returning friends. Welcome. If you're new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. So when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. You know, if these are the matriarchs of the Black community, we are pretty much finished. We got to get through this Chrissy video. We started it. We went on a marathon. It wasn't even supposed to be that long, but there was way too much. Although conversate is not a real word, there was a lot of conversating going on in the middle of that video. It was a 6-hour live stream. It could have gone for at least another hour. And so we need to get rid of this Chrissy business. You know, way too much has happened in between. By now, everybody's fully aware of the back and forth between Chrissy and Jessica X. I kind of gave my comments on that already. And yeah, so we're going to finish up the Chrissy video, and we're not going to watch the whole of it because it gets a little bit repetitive. They're not really making any points other than the points they already made. And obviously we had the Rebecca Lynn Pope. I touched on it, but we didn't watch it. We're going to watch the first part. As soon as it got to a certain point where she started to cry, we knew we got to have a conversation. And yeah, it's been a very interesting week. A lot of things have happened. It's kind of like the moment that you never thought would come has arrived, because there are people coming to the table. I have no clue. As per usual, there's no notes, no script. So if I start rambling, just put it down to a lack of medication. Shout out to Colorism is Uglyism. They were like, when are you going to do this Chrissy video? I was like, oh, I really have to do it because we've got other videos to do. After Boyce Watkins did his live stream on the Kevin Samuels situation, Ro came through and she was really dropping some knowledge. Hey Stoic, how are you, man? Shout out to you. Just check the sound, make sure that it's actually playing something. What was I saying? No, I don't want a Facebook notification right now, thank you. Let's just turn this down a little bit. Right, so I forgot what I was saying now. But yeah, shout out to Colorism, Uglyism, Ugly. we gotta get through this because we gotta talk about Ro and the comments that she made on Boyce Watkins and what we can see in real time. So I'm not gonna chat. We're gonna be here for about, let's hope, no more than an hour and a half. Let's just run through this quickly. We're gonna skim through some bits and pieces of these other videos. Thank you so much, Stoic, for showing your support. I'd be lying if I said I didn't know it was awesome. And obviously very humble. So let's get into it. Where's Chrissy? Chrissy, come.
And be the same women who somewhere having a fucking meltdown anytime you say something about their black hands. Anytime you say anything bad or critical about their black hands, they're having fucking meltdowns on the internet.
Fair use.
Don't say
fair
nothing
use.
about
I'm sorry for the bad language.
all black men. What about my son and my husband and the black man? Most of y'all ain't got husbands. So what about my man? They ain't marrying y'all like that. But y'all defending these niggas. Y'all going on their platform. And again, it's different when you don't know. I'm not saying there is not a learning curve. I went through the same learning curve. But baby, when I tell you it took me one time.
One time what?
One time to see what these niggas. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get it. I can't be on my on their channel. I can't be doing that. I can't be doing collaborations with them. It didn't take me watching a show over and over again for me to get it. Like, how many times does it take for y'all to get it? Again, I'm allowing you to know, but if you're to learn and to go through your learning curve. But if you're sitting here and you're watching show after show after show after show, and then you still call in after you've seen this man berate black women publicly for months, and you still call in, something's wrong with that. Something's wrong with that, ladies. Black women are not allowed to be as brutally honest to black men without being accused of bashing black men. And again, I'm not saying that black men or black women never call black women ugly or broke, but I'm tired of people acting like we're publicly honest with black men in the way they are with us. We're not. We don't drag them all over the internet like they do us. We're not doing that.
Whoa.
And the minute
Okay, we touched on this already. This bit has already gone, but I wanted to just rewind it so we all kind of knew where we left this thing off. I mean, I just need to pause it. We all just need to look at her, give her a couple of eyes, and we keep it moving. Because if Chrissy really thinks that they haven't been publicly dragging black men over the internet, I mean, then the question has to be asked: what do you define as dragging? Because what you are doing on a day-to-day basis is clear dragging. Okay, so let's cut the crap. Okay.
a black woman tries, other black women will step up and defend black men.
That's not
when
true
it's us
either.
being dragged, we are pretty much left to defend ourselves. And defend ourselves against both black men and other black women. That's what's crazy about it.
So this is the victimhood narrative. We're always being attacked. No one is as disrespected and unprotected as the black woman.
If it's okay to tell a black woman she is a 3 or 4 in looks and she'll die alone,
He didn't say 3 or 4.
Death, if that's okay, then why is it blasphemy to tell black women or black men that most of them are average or below average financially, or that most of them are broke, dusty, and powerless?
Okay, so this bit was a bit ridiculous. Most people are average. Chrissy goes back and forth between trying to insinuate that some people are average and some people are below average, and that, she tries to equate the average man with the dusty man. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Where are we at, man? Oh my gosh. Good evening, Jake. How are you doing? Who is this speaking? Yeah, this is Chrissy now. So we've gone back into the original video from the 6 hour. We're talking about from last week. We didn't finish it. I had to run out and I had to leave you guys hanging. I'm so sorry. What y'all lying about today? We're lying that black men are decent, upstanding human beings. God damn it. She must be crazy. It's a lack of medication. DJ Neff has got all of the meds. He got all of the meds. He's gonna send us some Xanax because I think her head is pretty much on backwards. I know that the vein in the forehead was standing up and she was about to explode over everybody. But this is ridiculous. Women coming to the defense of men was only something that we saw in pockets. You had your Danica Marie's, you had your Art Cathy's, you had a lot of people in the pro-black sector. And one thing that I find so disingenuous about Chrissy and her gang, if you want to call it that, is the way they like to conflate people together. Okay, there is a lot of disagreement between people in the pro-black camp and people who are not. Okay, and so I don't even think there's a lot of black women talking about what about my sons like that. I just find that to be completely disingenuous. So a lot of the times they try to conflate groups in order to make a point, and it's just
why
not
is
true.
That considered bashing black men? We're just being honest, right? And the truth hurts.
Okay, so most people are average. It's believed that the average white man makes $50K a year, thereabouts. The average black man makes about $10,000 less, which is about $40,000, and the average black woman is $30,000, according to Chrissy. This is something I heard her say a few years back, because when I first started looking at femininity, I actually did listen to Chrissy, and I was watching some of her videos and I really enjoyed some of the content, but it got a bit repetitive with the stuff about always having to throw shade on black men in there. And so, I just had to disassociate from her. But I mean, she was the one who said she actually asked her subscribers. She said the average black woman is making $30,000 a year. Why do you need $100,000 man? I could not find the video now, even if I wanted to. But there was one video where she actually asked them, like, a lot of you are not even making as much as the average black man. Why are you out here asking for 100,000? It's kind of like the Rebecca Lynn Pope moment. Okay? Rebecca Lynn Pope, 3 years ago, she made this big video. Okay, it wasn't necessarily specifically for black women. She said modern women in general have unrealistic expectations. Now, a few years later, she's got a bit soft, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we're going to get into it because we're going to play that clip as well. Okay?
Why is it blasphemy to say that they're average producing men.
Now, this whole thing about defeated, this is another thing where they're trying to send these black men on some kind of suicide mission. There really is no, equating being employed by a white man as being defeated is so infantile. And the reason why I'm doing this video, I want to get this Chrissy video kind of finished. I don't think I'm going to play all of it. It's an hour long and we're only 25 minutes in. It gets kind of repetitive. I don't think there's any point to play it to the end. I'll just skim it through to see if there's anything relevant to talk about. But it's like Chrissy's 35. Rebecca Lynn Pope is nearly 50, if she's not 50 already. We have Tonya TKO coming out. I know Tonya has to be over 40, maybe not touching 50. And April Mason came out today and also did a video. And I'm like, you cannot expect younger black people to come through when these are the kind of older women we have to look up to. I just said it. It's just like, look, let's just...
average producing men. Why can't we say that about them without it being blasphemy? Thank you for the super chat, or for the cash app, Dorothy. Thank you. And I want to address something else.
Go on, Chrissy, because I know you've got something deep and meaningful to say.
You guys are just defending her because most of you are average like she is. Okay, let's go with that. And most black men defend broke men. Why?
What broke men are getting defended by broke? Because
most of them are broke. That's why.
Oh my gosh.
So of course, other average or below average women are going to be supportive of this woman because most people are average looking. This is absolutely
okay. So that's a false equivalency. First and foremostly, there are a lot of men who will tell you, especially amongst the older generation of men who have this happy wife, happy life mentality, that it's like, no matter what the woman does, it's your job to go and build. I have older men that I might do a video. Maybe I'll do a live on this, where you have older guys consistently telling younger men, stop blaming women for things, stop looking at women, just go and build. It doesn't matter what the woman does. You have to do what you have to do as a man. This argument that men do not hold other men accountable is completely false. I don't know what men she's talking to or what men she's talking about, but that is false. The reason why we have the community that we have is largely because black women are never held accountable by anybody, and everybody blames black men for everything, for the most part. Okay, so this false equivalency of being defeated or not building, or these things are two separate issues. Most people don't own things. I think it's 13% of people in the States are entrepreneurs. The vast majority of people are employed. So what defeated are you talking about? But again, it's that emotive language. You're trying to conflate, overthrowing white supremacy with a decent guy who is just trying to survive, like the average white man, like the average Asian man, like the average Jewish man. Like everybody across the board, for the most part, is average and working for somebody as an employee. So just cut it out with the defeated talk, because like I said in a previous video, okay, let's say we got rid of white supremacy, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We found a way to end, not them, because we don't want to be seen as inciting violence. Once we get rid of all the white supremacy, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, what are we going to do? Have we got the infrastructure to rebuild the black community without all the things we get from white society? And am I saying we shouldn't try to thrive under white supremacy? No. But do we have what it takes to replace what we would lose? So, this fool's errand of overthrowing white supremacy is a ridiculous statement. I have a whole video telling everybody why it's just a straw man. It's something to basically make black men go and chase something that they can never achieve. And putting yourself in a position where you can be harmed, basically, because you cannot overthrow white supremacy. White supremacy is an entire system. It's an entire system that it affects every area of human activity. So how are you going to overthrow the education system, employment, um, the law, jail, uh, family, sex, relationships, the media? Are black people equipped to overthrow white supremacy in all of those areas of human activity? So when people like Cynthia G say, black men need to overthrow white supremacy, and you have Chrissy talking about you're defeated, I mean, this is just a straw man. I wouldn't want to go so far as to accuse them of saying they basically want you to put yourself at risk where you get killed. But that's basically what's going to happen because you don't have the firepower to fight the army or something like that. I mean, if you were to go to war and start a militia group or whatever. I mean, look at that city that was built. What was it? What was that city that they built? They tried to build a independent state. I mean, man, it just takes a couple of tanks to come through, and it and the people under it are finished. Let's just stop it. What you're lying about today? I can't take it. Where's the block button? I swear, I'm gonna find that block button in a minute. Figure out how to use it. I completely adore fit, feminine black women. Of course, most black men do. And what black men call fit is not even some crazy, underweight thing. They're just talking about, a healthy weight, decent shape. She's been for years attacking mixed sisters and light skinned sisters. She's such a hypocrite. Exactly. And that was something else. They're literally advertising SYSBM for us. And that's what a lot of black women don't realize. The reason why a lot of black men are leaving the community is not because of a handful of brothers on the internet. Let's think about this. How many, even the biggest channels okay, maybe Tommy back in the day was very influential. I know he got taken out a few times. But still, what percentage of black men are really red pill? Like they're red pill and they know what time it is. Now Kevin is gonna make the red pill go mainstream, and Kevin is actually going. I'm not predicting the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see Kevin on TV soon, because he's caused such a ruckus that and got people talking. Like I can imagine some fights breaking out in homes. The protect argument is idiotic. I mean, really and truly, if you're going to say we need to protect random women, then you need to do your motherly duties for random men. You need to be doing the wife and girlfriend duties for random men. That's what I would personally say. Because at the end of the day, you're asking the man to put his life on the line for a random stranger and get nothing in return. And if the argument is, well, you should protect a random black woman because in that black woman you see your mother, your sister, your daughter, your auntie, your cousin, your niece, then the black man should be able to say, well, in me you should see your father, your husband, your son, and you should do for me and my kids what you would do for them. But obviously they're going to be, it's a one-way street. Chrissy says Gabrielle Union and Kerry Washington are not true black women. She calls them safe brown. Yeah, she loves that statement, safe brown. I think I'm safe brown, but I was thinking today, when I go out in the sun and I get really dark, I really like it. I like showing off all my white bits.
Yeah.
It's like tuning with my white bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Really dark.
This is
I used to give all my ex-girlfriends suntan lotion so that they can go out and get darker. No, really, I'm serious.
Tell me about it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't realize how brown I got until I took my shoes off. I was like, wait a minute, my feet are two totally different colors. It's like, what's going on here? So patently false. Yeah, this is what she and Cynthia G do. Flip the blame on black men along with no accountability. Accountability is protection. Accountability is protection because it helps you to think before you act. And the black community is kind of like a community of chase your tail type people. We let the situation go bad, and then we try to recover it afterwards. And that's why we can never progress, because we're always trying to get back to zero after kind of going wrong. Something to moan about. Yeah, I mean, it is. Chrissy didn't really have anything to say. I don't know who or what's in Tulsa. We should send you to Tulsa.
Well, here's the
trouble
problem.
over here.
Here's the problem. I just want to back on what you just said for the sake of the chat room. So, chat room, what Miss A said is relevant. Chrissy makes a point, and then she switches to a different topic in an effort to talk anti-male, as if her topic has to do with her anti-male statement. The whole point of all of this, like Miss A just explained, is to push a different narrative. If I say tomatoes, Miss A, at some point in time, well, it ain't like black men built the tomato farm.
Oh my gosh, I've got a good statement for that. I got a good one for that. Keep going, bro.
No, this is your show. I'm not going to derail. I'm just adding. Go ahead.
No, man, just anytime you want to chip in. I think I already posted the link in the chat. If anybody wants to come up, feel free. You know, as long as people are not saying anything out of pocket.
I'm only chipping in to help your situation brighter. So rock on.
YouTube blocked my comment because I used the word naughty. Oh my gosh.
Oh, behave.
No, I didn't say a naughty word. I actually used the word naughty, and it was like.
I know, but it sounds friendly.
Must be. I remember the college-educated 26-year-old brother protected a random sister and got murdered for it by Pookie. Exactly. And these kind of stories happen all the time. I had an incident, but this was a white guy, you know, saw a woman getting attacked, and he punched the guy and killed the guy by accident. And at the end of the day, you know that guy is going to go down for manslaughter or something just for trying to be a hero. So, I mean, there are a lot of moving parts. I know, right? How come you can say naughty but I can't? So Chrissy didn't really have a point. And I'll tell you why Chrissy doesn't have a point. I said this in the last video. She knows the woman is average and what she wants she can't get. And she's trying to fumble and cobble together some reason why Kevin is wrong. But she can't really say Kevin is wrong, because credit where credit's due. Chrissy is probably one of the most real ones out of all of these ladies. She's actually the one who's most likely to tell it like it is. Okay.
Totally no different from black men being in support of average or low value men.
They're not doing that. Let's move on.
No, it's not the truth. Okay. I'm very realistic and very honest with black women about their options. Very, very honest. Okay. But my issue is, why are we always expected to be so honest with each other, brutally and painfully honest with other black women, but they are not that way with other black men? How many black men are out here being honest?
Like, what is she actually asking? What does she want?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. She doesn't want woman on woman confrontation. She doesn't want woman to go against white women, woman to go against Asian theory. She doesn't want women to go against women. She wants women to only, keyword, only go to war black males. That's what her statement means.
Yeah, that's what it is. She's just rallying the women up to just always have this focus, like, because really and truly, women are not holding women accountable like that. Nobody is. That's why this Kevin situation is such a foreign concept, because you have women literally coming through saying, I had no idea this is how men even felt. Like, it's something that's a foreign concept to them. Because for decades, everybody's been told that we all need to focus on fixing the men, but not how the men got broken in the first place.
Painfully and brutally honest to other black men about their options. You got 50-year-old black men out here saying that 50-year-old men can get 20-year-old women just like that.
Okay. Now, Chrissy.
Doesn't that happen in Europe?
There are parts of the States where that's common.
Whoa. Doesn't that happen in Europe?
Of course.
I'm sorry. How about Russia?
Oh, please.
How about France? How about France?
Oh, in those countries, they love it. Those
Then
countries, they love it because in their mind,
that
fair use. $20, $40, or $20, $39.
But for the
They have an entire
plantation,
channel.
I'm sorry, but for the plantation thinking woman here in the States, this is more acceptable.
Of course,
because the plantation think. Matter of fact, let me back up because I think I need to make this point for the chat room and the people listening to Antisocial. If Antisocial, who lives in Europe, England is part of Europe, even though they like to think they're not. There are older guys with younger women. When I was in Surrey, England, next to the golf course, I went through Brighton Beach. I went to Manchester. I was over in Ireland on the Cove. I was over in Scotland, where I met a lot of black Scots. Okay? Older people, older women were with younger guys. Nobody thought nothing about it. Older guys were with younger women. Nobody thought nothing about it. Go over to Austria, same thing. So Ku Klux Klan Chrissy wants you to believe that only here in America mathematically is different. How is that, Jake Moreno? How is that, Stoic? How is what she's saying mathematically correct? It's not. She's doing it to pay rent. And you, Antisocial, are showing this right now. This is what the swirlers have always championed. Now, I don't care if nobody get with a white guy. Really, I don't. Just don't go talking anti-black when you go fall in love, wherever you go fall in love. Go ahead, Antisocial. I'm sorry.
So Chrissy made this point, and the reason why she made that is because, Kevin consistently talks about how as a 50-year-old man, he cannot keep younger women off his case, right? And so I'm flipping back and forth now because we're just going to kind of bang them all at the same time, really, because it's like, I'm starting to think, Crystalline has actually got a real issue with Kevin. This is bigger than just something. I don't know what it is.
Taking her money, taking her profits.
It's definitely he's taken her profits. But in the video that she recently did, she was like, "You win," and I'm like, Crystalline, what prize were you trying to get? I get, because the way she's talking, you'd almost think Kevin wakes up every day thinking, how can I affect Crystalline's business? And that's not what happened. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right product. So we're now with Crystalline. This video is...
I think it's deeper than that. I think what you're not seeing is that her whole business model is to get women to believe that being anti-blackmail is the only way they will succeed. And because all of the women tried to vilify this one guy, Kevin's statements, by attacking him personally, I think what she realized is the hate that I've created isn't that strong.
Yeah.
It isn't that strong. They're still over there. I'm telling them, but they still over there. So I give up.
Yeah, a large part of what I think Crystalline's issue is it's almost like this "I've done so much for you" complex. it's like you owe me. And because that's what really she broke down when she had that massive at the beginning of the last video, because she was live. I just happened to be scrolling and I saw she was live. And when I heard the way she was rambling, I just said, okay, I'm going to start a live stream and we're going to talk this thing through. And it was like, I've done books for you. I've built this for you. I've built an empire for you. I've tried to give you etiquette lessons. And this is how you repay me every night you're over at Kevin Samuels' channel. And it's like, I think that hatred and that vitriol, because he is doing so well and kind of, he's succeeding in some degree where she has not managed to succeed. Because as I can't remember who it was, I don't know if it's confusion to clarity, clarity to confusion, or on thought somebody said that these women do not have a mix of men and women. Now Kevin said that about, what did he say? I think he said around 20% of his subscribers are female. Kevin is on 240,000 subs right now.
Right.
Kevin has more female subscribers than I think Cynthia G has subscribers in total.
Right. Because they want access to guys like myself. I'm established. I'm not high value. I'm established. They want to know, what am I willing to risk my property and my legacy property for? What am I willing to do to get hypnotized by her? That's what they want to know.
They want to know.
I'm not a guy who has millions of dollars, okay?
But you're still above average.
Right. I set my own ticket. Plus, on top of that, and you and I need to talk about it on the UK and ADOS show, I fight the white man mentally every week. I'm not isolated from the white man. I'm not working a situation where I don't have to deal with him every week and win in debates, meetings, proposals, reports. You see what I'm saying? So when I come home, I need a different type of woman.
Yeah.
And the woman that's all about her girlfriend or all about, I make six figures, may not necessarily be ideal for me and my son to be. Because legacy established guys, we're not just guys who make money. There are people who make more money than me. They're just guys who make money. Established guys have careers. When we go out on vacation, we go on industry vacations. We go on company vacations. We're a totally different class from a dude driving an Uber, getting on YouTube talking about high value, or a dude who works a warehouse job. No knock to warehouse jobs, but we need for you to be the manager of the warehouse, like my homeboy who makes 160 a year as the manager of a warehouse. Then we can talk.
It's true.
But we got to talk about that on the UK ADOS show. Go ahead, my dear.
No, I will come on the show and you will educate me, because I am the young grasshopper in that situation.
Well, I just want to bring you on a show that's all our own, that's weekly, so that way you can do your separate thing here. But I just want to promote you as much as possible because you're too intellectual, and that's why I try to do what I can. But go ahead.
I'm good, man. I just talk about what I know and what is important to me, and then I'll just leave it there. I'm trying not to overstep my boundary.
Crikey. Go ahead, lady.
Cool, blimey. So this is Crystalline's one of her latest videos. And now she's found, a white woman to come and, launch her 2 cents at Kevin. Because it's always going to be, at the moment, high value people attacking Kevin. So let's hear what this lady had to say in relation to what Chrissy just said. If I can get it to play.
She's like, well, couldn't I get with an older guy? Because it's not...
You can get paid for taking surveys online. It works like this.
Yeah, I don't think you get paid that much.
But 25-year-olds want to date like a 45-year-old man. So it's like...
Okay, listen.
So she's 35. So she's like, I'm 35. Maybe I could get with like a 45-year-old guy just to divorced or something like that. And he's like, why would a 45-year-old man date you when he could date a 25-year-old? And she's like, but a 20 or 25-year-old doesn't want to date a 45-year-old man.
So remember, I just shown you, anybody can now go on YouTube and just Google age gap relationships. Now, the one I showed you, I picked specifically, not only because there's a 20-year age gap, but also because they have a channel. So I'm convinced that they're an actual couple. The TikTok videos, I don't know how many of them are like sugar babies and gold diggers, but that one is a channel.
Okay, so let me answer. In Europe, they're called May-December romances. You can oh yeah, I was all through Europe. See, that's another thing. When I talk, this is why so many black men get upset and think that I'm arrogant, is because I'm well traveled and well read. So, and I'm from the hood, and I used to shoot guns and sell dope, but I changed my life, and they hate that. So when I'm giving information, I'm giving information from the point of I used to be them, and now I'm something else. I'm a different type of butterfly. But I can still resort back to this earthworm if you want me to. I think that people have to learn not to listen to these because that's my code word now, these plantation behavior narratives, because they're not international. International people have to deal with things from an international point of view, because the train over there puts you in so many countries while you just went to sleep and now you woke up in Kakistan.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Now, mind you, I love USA women, really I do, because I understand, Miss A, that they just don't understand what they're saying. They just don't understand how they're trying to weaponize to help white sons win. But this is why I like to celebrate women like yourself, because you're looking at it just from a mathematical point of view of how the end goal in what they're saying makes no sense outside of them making rent money.
Exactly. And a huge part of this is Chrissy, Paris, and Cynthia G. I don't know so much about Crystalline. They could have had what Kevin has. Had they not turned on black men, they could have had a platform where black men and black women were coming together. You were holding one and the other accountable, but you could have had a dialogue. But you lost that support and respect once you tried to make this all about bashing black men. And it's not easy being a woman on the platform, because obviously there is a breakdown of trust between black men and black women. So you got to kind of have a tougher skin, and they kind of fell by the wayside. Nicole Michelle kind of fell prey to it. Now, a lot of people say all worms will turn. I'm antisocial, so at some point I'm probably going to turn on everybody anyway. But man, woman, child, or beast, no one is safe. So let me just put the disclaimer out there from now.
Everybody goes left. That's what I teach. Everybody goes left.
Everybody goes left at some point. But, I'm trying to always remember that not all black men are the same. And, neither side is perfect. And for me, I'm like, okay, how did black men get like this? Even if I have a gripe with black men, I'm thinking, how did they get like this? And that's why I talk to women. I know I don't have a lot of female viewership, actually. And it's not because I didn't want to appeal to women, but the tone that I take. And this is one of the reasons why I did the video, because what I've come to realize is a lot of people had an issue with, particularly YouTuber who came out and said lie to women. But the reality is this: you cannot be honest with women. When you're honest with them, you get a situation like this, where they're dragging you from left to right on the internet, saying that you're all kinds of abusive and narcissistic.
Because the plantation told them to. The woman of the plantation did not allow the male slave to outtalk her, because the white master would beat him in public. She walked around with two things on her mind. And this is not her fault. This is just documented history. She was like, if I'm pregnant, 6 a 5 month to a delivery, I don't have to pick. So therefore, I'm trying to find one of these slaves that I don't mind sleeping with, or master's going to force me to sleep with Big Luke, who's the buffest on the plantation. So my whole job is to dictate to these dudes what they should do. That's different from slavery in England, because slavery in England, though it was not perfect, many of those people were allowed to be educated. Oh, Charles, look, Leroy can read. Oh, bravo, Leroy. But here in the States, Leroy was beat and had his penis cut off for trying to read the 15th time. That's the difference. So here, yes, I'm quite sure they have some level of disagreement in Europe and in England, but not to the percentage that it is here, which is why you mostly hear American women promoting this hate.
I see. Yeah, I mean, it's a different paradigm for American Black women than every other group, in my opinion, simply because of the history. But Ivy says, have you got no smoke for the white girl? Let's see. Let's see.
It's like, and he's like, BS, I have to beat them off with a stick. Like, that is so delusional. Like, that is delusional. Like, he's thinking that she is delusional for wanting, like, the bare minimum. Like, quite frankly, she should...
100,000 a year is not a bare minimum. Unless you live in a place where the cost of living is ridiculously high, so the incomes are reflective of the cost of living, 100,000 is not bare minimum. 25, 30 is bare minimum. So again, you're somebody that's been recruited with no clue.
Asking for even more in someone. And the fact that she would even be willing to talk to this guy shows that, like, her standards literally need to be higher. And she will actually have better luck if that were the case.
So she's a panderer, obviously.
So he's sitting here telling her this while simultaneously saying the most delusional stuff I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, I'm thinking back to when I was 20 and 25. If I saw a 45-year-old man, I would have literally thought it was the Crypt Keeper. Like, I would have literally thought it was the Crypt Keeper. Like, I can't think of anything grosser. Like,
okay, so basically you recruited a white woman to reinforce the black man is some type of predator narrative. That's basically what she's saying. That a man in his 40s with a female who is legally of age in her 20s is a creepy crypt keeper. Reinforcing the already, out there narrative that the black man is some type of dangerous child molester stroke rapist. That's who Chrysalin recruited to challenge Kevin Samuels. And I thought that was a disgrace. Like, I'm just going to come straight out and say it. For her, and don't get me wrong, I've been there. I understand, because in the black community, we have issues with age gap relationships. But you see far more white people with older, you see far more white women with older white men than you see black women with older men of any race. Because when I looked at this thing about age gap relationships, the vast majority of them, the vast majority of them are all young girls with white men. This is a real couple as well. These two are married. They met when she was 18 and he was 51. Okay? And they've been married for years, and he has adult children. His youngest adult child is 10 years older than his wife. I think he's probably married before. He had a previous relationship. And there's another girl. She's very pretty. This one's a trans. We'll just keep that moving. This one, I think, is TikTok. I don't know how many of these are real and how many of these are some type of arrangement, sugar baby stroke, what have you. I don't know this one. This one allegedly is true, but I think she's older. This one is, as you can see, 2452. And this one is real. They have a YouTube channel. And she was talking about how, she gets called gold digger and everything so much for being in an age gap relationship with a man who's in his 50s, I think. So this idea that older men cannot get younger women. Okay, Kevin, I'm not saying Kevin is exaggerating. If you look good, because I saw one here and the guy did not look in his 50s. I can't find it now. I don't know where it is. There's one. The guy does not look anywhere near his age. Even I was shocked that he's in his 50s or whatever he was. All right. But again, we're raising the expectations. A lot of women say they want security. You cannot have security when you're in a relationship with a little boy, whether he's a little boy mentally or a little boy financially. There's no way you can get security like that. And I'm not saying I would encourage such a huge age gap, because you'd have to be quite an old soul for you to be able, as a young girl, to be in a relationship with a man 20, 30 years your senior.
Well, here's the thing. I understand ladies, and that's what I want to talk about on our UK and ADOS show. I understand women don't want to be taken advantage of, and I respect that.
Sorry, Mr. Research, 1 second. IB says this is the exception. IB, there are certain parts of the States where age gap relationship is the norm. And there are parts around the world in the East, age gap relationships are the norm. I was working and I had a Somalian friend, a male friend, and he said to me, the husband should be at least 10 years older than his wife, Somalian. And I looked at him, as a lot of people do now, back then years when I was in the dark ages, and I was like, what? 10 years? Ew.
Well, here's
what I understand why he said what he said. So it's not so uncommon. It's not the exception. It's the exception in the Black community, because you have a lot of women that wait till they're older. A lot of women don't want to marry somebody older because that man is established and doesn't need them. And it's harder for you to control a man who is significantly older. So this narrative gets painted that a man who wants a considerably younger woman, and I know 18 is a bit touch and go because she still looks very much like a kid, but at the same time, if the two of them are legal, that's not pedophilia. And that's what is being insinuated by this chick here. Go ahead, Mr. Research. What's this woman's
again? Let's look at documented history, Ivy. On the plantation, Massa had a young wife. He didn't have an older wife. He didn't have a wife his age. That's documented. Let's look at history. African people to this day have older males in Africa. To this day. Older women are with older guys to this day, Ivy. This is documented. See, what Ivy is talking about is what the plantation taught the sisterhood. That only your group needs to be with the same age so you can produce the best slave for us to sell. That's why when Ivy goes to Europe, she's going to have younger and older guys trying to romance her. And she's going to have a lot of guys pretending that they're trying to romance, and they're trying to sleep with her only because it's the norm in Europe.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, certain parts of Europe, you get a BJ and nobody thinks nothing about it. It's like a handshake. But, and I don't say that to sound crass. I say that to make the point that we in America, we're prudish and we put a lot of emphasis on things that other countries could give two craps about.
Exactly.
So
Our priorities are completely wrong, and it goes back to this immaturity that we're talking about. A lot of, I mean, an age gap relationship of 20, 30 years is a bit extreme. Now, IB says that if you look, most people date around 5 years older. IB, I don't care what the study says. The reason I don't care what the study says is because the study is only showing me the current result. It's like, I have a glass of water and then I take a thermometer. What have I actually learned? I don't know how hot the water was before. I don't know how cold it was before. All I can tell you is how warm it is now.
at the present,
That's all it's showing me.
it's not showing you the history of the
It's
study.
not showing me the causation. It's only showing me the effect.
And that's an excellent point to IB. Yes, let's look at the study, IB. I research for a living, okay, in my profession, in my career. So the question, IB, is who did the study? What were the mechanisms in order for them to gather the information? A lot of times, this is why I discredit Pew Research so many times, because Pew Research never moves their percentages in 5 years. Imagine the same number mathematically for 5 years straight. That is mathematically impossible. So then, when we start questioning Pew Research, they fired some of their people, and that's how Wendy Wong came in to straighten out a lot of things. How do I know this? I research for a living. 2012, I used to work at the CDC. So you're going off what you think you see, respectful to you, and I'm not knocking, but the study, to Miss A's point, is present day when they did it. It doesn't take into the account how was it in 2010? How was it in 2009? Because it does matter. Because it, just like people say all the time here in America, white mixed relationships are rising. Okay? White husbands are rising. Well, I'm going to tell you, as a researcher, I can point to white husbands were at 4% back in 2010. It's at 2% now. So how are they rising? Well, to Miss A's point, they are rising from 2%. They're at 2.3 as of today. But that doesn't negate that they fell from 4.0. See, when you're talking to me in antisocial, you got to come with the math, Ivy. And I say that with much love and respect.
And because I'm going to do a video on this book called "Is Marriage for White People?" And somebody brought the same argument to me, that you got to look at the statistics. You got to look at the statistics. The reason why black women are not getting married is because they outnumber black men by 2 million. And I was like, the statistics don't tell me how we got to this point. And to be honest with you, I feel like the statistics only show me the effectiveness of white supremacy. They don't actually tell me how we got here. Now, I'm not talking about culture. I'm talking about what is in the best interest for the progression of the culture. The reason why in other parts of the world they couple an older man with a younger woman, and I'm not saying I'm talking about 20 or 30 years. Stop getting hung up on the 2 decades. Stop getting hung up on Kevin Samuel saying in his 50s he can get a 20-year-old. I'm talking about, yes, 5, 10, maybe up to 20 years. I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I'm saying a sizable age gap. Why? Because your role in the relationship is to be fertile. Your role in the relationship is to be able to have children and have the strength to care for them. You're not just popping them out. You've actually got to have energy to care for them and raise them. So if you get with your husband in your late teens, early 20s, you either have the children quickly in one go, by the time they get to 15 and you can start, the older ones can care for the younger one, you haven't even hit 40 yet. You can go back to work, you can get your body back, you can go and enjoy life like you did before you had children. Or you can get married early and have a good 10 years of wedded bliss where you travel, get your education, invest in your career, yada, yada, yada. Then again, you have your kids in a block. And by the time they grow up, maybe 15 years, let's just say the youngest is 15, you're approaching 50. A lot of 50 is not what it used to be. So if you are in your 20s and he is in his mid 30s, he's seasoned, his education is out of the way, he's on his career path, he's able to bring those children into an environment of stability. That's the point we're talking about. The age gap is not about whether you find older men sexy per se. It's about saying what is in the best interest of the community. And because people are not aging the way they used to, a 50-year-old man today is not what he was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
And I understand. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, years ago, by the age of about 35, 40, they understood the concept of the wall. And women realized once they hit a certain age, they were going to be a spinster, because socially, it wasn't even acceptable to be out here dating like that. Whereas now times have progressed. So even if you are older, you can still go back and start life again once you've got the kids out of the way.
So I just want to
be referencing Kevin Samuels, but Kevin Samuels is a point of reference for, because remember, she referenced Kevin Samuels and then started talking about herself. Oh, well, when I was 20, I was a 40-year-old man approaching me, blah, 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 blah. That's what she started to say. So she projected the fact that she wouldn't find a 40-year-old man attractive at 20 onto all women. But I'm telling you, there are places in the States where that is common. Women do not want men their own age. They are all approaching men who are older because those men are established. And around the world, that is what is culturally expected, because they understand the younger guy cannot provide these women who maybe don't work as much or maybe who aren't as educated, the stability she and the children she will bear for that man need.
Okay, so I want to catch Mr. Jake Moreno in a lie. I'm going to give you an intellectual question, Mr. Jake Moreno. Now, remember, Antisocial's point is not whether 50-year-old guys are sexy. Okay? I know you're like, 50 men, I hate men. I get it. Okay, I get it. I can't stand old men. I get it. Okay? But I'm going to use your own argument against you intellectually. Now, you can avoid it. You can start talking about something else. You can even call me a name. But I'm going to prove that you can't keep that same energy in your statement. You said, I'm sorry, but I can't agree with the fact that a 50-year-old person is old enough to be with a 20-year-old girl. I'm going to walk with you on that. So that's 30 years, right? So, Mr. Jake Moreno, have you seen more older guys with young women, or have you seen more older women, 40 and 50, with boys who are 20, 18, and 15? Mr. Jake Moreno, type your answer in the chat room, and I'm going to give the microphone back to Antisocial, because I bet you can't keep that same 30-year-old energy when it comes to what women do every day, and don't have Jake Moreno tell them that they're grandmas. Keep that same energy, Jake. Sorry to derail. Go ahead, Antisocial.
No, I actually was thinking that before, that when it comes onto an older man being with a younger woman, which biologically and financially makes sense, we're all like, ew. But when we see a cougar, an older woman with a younger guy, we don't think of that as somehow predatory or just financially Okay, let's go back to the last video Crystalline did with her high value man that she's recruited to throw shade on Kevin Samuels. This guy, Lance Growth. He said, I was in one of my first girlfriends was 12 years older than I was, a single mother with 2 kids. She was able to probably turn him out sexually. She was able to finance his life. There were many things that he learned from her, but he didn't stick with her. He understood that it's not compatible for him to be with an older woman, and she is aging. She's not in her prime. She's coming out of her prime, whereas he is far from going into it. So most people wouldn't look at that relationship and say this doesn't make sense, because they would say, oh, you guys love each other. But once it's the other way around, everybody's got something to say, even though it's more beneficial for everybody involved when the man is older than the woman, because the man can give the woman wisdom, he can give her life experience, guidance, he's likely to be more established, he's more likely to have money. The woman needs stability and security, and that's something a younger man cannot offer. So I don't want to belabor the point. My point was, Crystalline basically tried to insinuate that Kevin Samuels is a pedophile. Okay, I'm just going to call it what it is. That's what she's trying to say. Kevin Samuels is an old creep for saying at 50 he can get women who are in their 20s. And it's like Crystalline doesn't seem to see that she is just reinforcing this negative stereotype that black men are dangerous predators, because he's talking about being a 20-year-old man, a 50-year-old man with 20-year-old women, as if these women are not sleeping with men already, and as if 20-something is not legal. That's all I found, really.
Well, I mean, couldn't I get with an older guy? Because it's not...
Universal subscription gives you unlimited access to every session musician.
You don't, like, 25-year-olds want to date like a 45-year-old man, so it's like...
So what do you want the 25-year-old to date? A little boy who's got no money and all he has to offer is sex and a baby?
And he's like, why would a 45-year-old man date you when he could date a 25-year-old?
Yes, why would a 45-year-old man date her? Especially because he probably wants a man who's got no kids.
Wait, you get it now. The plantation woman, listen to what I'm telling you, Miss A. The plantation woman promotes young-looking boys with great penis.
Exactly.
Look at all the older guys with baseball caps who hate suits. Their first choice.
Men still looking like children.
Their first choice by the plantation community. Chicken George all over again. No, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to connect the dots. Look at the guys who easily get upset, but they make a lot of money. That's what she wants. He's easier to control.
Exactly.
Go ahead, my lady.
So that's what I'm saying. And that's why a lot of the times when people say, how come people say black women are the right hand of white supremacy? It's things like this that people are talking about. They're talking about the fact that when we look at the long-term goals for the community and what's in the best interest for the community, you have women like Crystalline promoting something that is not in your best interest. Getting with a guy who's young but not established is not in your interest, because that man is not established enough to impart what needs to be imparted to you and your children in order to progress the community. Now, am I saying that you have to leave your good man who is 2 years or 3 years or 5 years older in order to go in search of this elusive 50-year-old? Obviously not. We know most people want to date close to their age, and maybe the average is 5 years. But 5 years is still better than 2 years above, or sometimes younger. It's bigger than just one man with one woman. It's what's in the long-term interest of everybody involved. It's about a culture. The black community is a collection of cultural beliefs and practices. And one of the cultural practices is you have to get with somebody your own age, even when that person cannot support your life. These women are complaining about broke dusties, but I bet the vast majority of the broke dusties they deal with are not older established men. They're little boys their own age. That's the point. And Kevin is raising these men's understanding that your time is not 20 when it's the girls' time. The girls are coming into their sexual prime at an earlier time than you because it takes longer for you to be a man. It takes longer for you to think like a man, act like a man, build up your resources. It takes longer for you. So don't be competing with the women trying to be as sexual and as romantic as the women. The women are in their sexual prime. Let them go and look for men older than you who can give them what they need. You focus on becoming established. So when it's your time in your late 20s, 30s, early 40s, you now can reach back and have your time. That's what he's trying to get brothers to understand. Because a lot of brothers, they're making mistakes in their youth when they should be focused on their career, like Lance Grove. He had a woman, but he didn't have no kids. And he was focused on his career. And now he's at the age of 37, which is what everybody says. This is the time you're getting into your prime. Now he's clear. I want my own legacy. I want my wife with my own kids, not a woman coming into the relationship with other man's kids. And I'm going to build on what I've already established. That's how it should be. So when you have women saying, I don't want to date older men, that's your right, that's your preference. But you have to understand what comes as a woman with dealing with a guy who's younger and not established. Okay? So Kazama Fury says, remember Kevin only said they are into him. I didn't hear him say he runs through them like wildfire. Exactly. And if he goes to a place where that's normal, of course, these women are going to be checking for him. But that's why black women are often struggling, because they're dealing with too many, under-established little boys. They care more about the age and the swag than they do about whether the man's got, $2 to rub together. And a lot of young men, they don't have it yet because they haven't got into their career, they haven't finished their education, and they're not established yet. It's that simple. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. So this chick here, what's this called? I can't see this.
45-year-old man.
Let me just say this. You are right. You are right. It's not that hard. But again, I want you to research, my lady. Look at the plantation photos. I want you to see how here in America, the women were put on a throne on the porch. They got to sit in the seat, while all the boys and the old men laid in the mud. Even though they had top hats on, they were always at the feet of the women.
Mm.
It was not like that in England as much, or Haiti, or Jamaica. They had their problems too, but not to this degree. Remember, Lady A, Hitler looked at the plantation white man for his manifesto against the world.
Mm-mm.
No, serious, that's documented. Nobody has seen, even Pharaoh didn't have that much abuse and hate as the plantation man. But this is USA plantation women. Their behavior is fulfilling the white man's dream.
Mm.
You can attack the black male or other black women like yourself who have empathy for understanding the black man a little bit, then her legacy is achieved. Because what's the one thing you don't see? And I know you're going to get to it at some point in time. Ain't none of these women you name, except for maybe Paris Milan, none of these women you name are making videos weekly against the white woman. But shouldn't that be her number one competition?
You would think that. The only one who's critical of white women on a consistent basis is Cynthia G. And the only reason why Cynthia G, in my opinion, her subscriber count is less than Crystalline's is simply because Cynthia G, despite how much she degrades black men by calling them dusty, she is actually somebody who says she doesn't support interracial dating. You see, the other channels, they do. So that's why. But they don't see the white woman. They try to use this idea of sisterhood, thinking that white women are in that sisterhood. But white women are white first. Because they understand by supporting the white male, they also increase their own foothold. They might not be able to overthrow the white male, but they can overthrow everybody else by standing beside that white male.
You think that Russian person is not gonna accept that Scottish woman into the family? You think that Ireland woman ain't gonna accept that light-skinned Arab guy into the family?
Exactly. You see, even with that Georgian Harbinger guy, this is why white men are notorious for going to Asia to pick a wife before a black person, because their children are still white.
Do you see his white women attacking him?
There's no white women attacking him because she's still white. Keanu Reeves has a Chinese father who grew up in Hawaii. Okay? But because his last name is Reeves and his skin is white, you kind of are not sure why his eyes look like that. But when you find out, oh, your father's Chinese, now it makes perfect sense.
Right. But see, this is the funny thing about the plantation behavior people. I'm not going to let the guys off the hook either. You, as a guy, you're talking anti-black female. Okay. Why? Shouldn't you be happy at home doing what you're doing? Shouldn't you be showing your part Thailand son how to be blacker and move in black spaces? Matter of fact, shouldn't you be over to your Chinese, your Thailand brother-in-law's house, trying to get into his company? And you're not doing none of that. You're over here again in black spaces talking anti-black woman. What's the point? We heard you say that 1,469 times over the past 5 years. Can't let them off the hook either. But go ahead.
So that was the only thing I really wanted to mention with this latest video. I mean,
He's like, BS, I have to beat them off with a stick. Like, that is so delusional. Like, that is
your face is
delusional.
so bland.
Like, he's thinking that she is delusional.
Okay, and the other thing, this is what I wanted to say, and just to kind of sum it up. Just because, how can I say this without sounding racist? You know, all right, let's go back to the incident where you had the school with the parents coming in the bonnets and the flip-flops, and you had white women saying, I totally understand. Like when it's early morning, you've got to throw those kids in the car and shut them out. And, you know, you haven't got time to get yourself together. And it's like, we saw it with Jordan Harbinger, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, when he made this off-the-cuff comment about leaving 13-year-olds at home with pizza. White people will condone things for black people that they wouldn't support and do themselves. And this is how they often derail black people, because black women in particular are often so desperate for white validation. They will agree with anything, even when logically it doesn't make any sense, simply because it comes out of a white mouth. Because there are a lot of white women who will get with men who are older. We see it amongst white celebrities all the time. But she tries to make out like Kevin is the bad guy and the delusional one, when white society is built on generational wealth that's handed down from older men to his young wife. You know, how many times have you heard white women say, he left me for a younger woman? That's not something I heard black women saying. That was a common statement I heard white women saying. My husband left me for a younger woman. Meaning, yes, there are younger women who will go to older men. Now, again, like I said, we're not talking about necessarily 30 years or even 20 years, but we need to be realistic that older men are the ones who are established. So that was the only bit I really wanted to touch on from this video, because it's painful listening. She keeps saying the same
bare
thing.
minimum. Like, quite frankly, she should be asking for even more in someone. And the fact that she would even be willing to talk to this guy shows that, like, her standards literally need to be higher. And she will actually have better luck if that were the case.
Okay, she has higher standards, blah, 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 but she doesn't bring anything to the table apart from gardening and helping him with his business. So there really is nothing there. And once again, she's the one who deserves yada, 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 even though she has nothing to offer.
So I see this mask too that Jessica has, and she's trying to pretend she's happy.
Most people think the key to losing weight only has to deal with two factors: diet and exercise.
Happy. She's not. She can't be happy doing this at 25 years old. We're living. Can't be. No healthy, happy 25-year-old is doing this online.
So now this is the video. The other video with Chrissy talking about responding to Kevin Samuels. It goes on, and it's pretty much more and more of the same garbage. She keeps making this case that Kevin is delusional. Why don't we hold black men accountable? Now, obviously, Jessica X did a response video to that, which Chrissy caught wind of, and now she's done a response video back. So this is Chrissy calling Jessica a $5 pick-me, and basically she's saying that Jessica cannot be happy making videos supporting black men, and the only reason why she does it is because she's saying what black men want to hear. So there was an all-out war apparently.
No, but I'm gonna actually have a conversation.
I'm going to.
I know she keeps ignoring her.
I'm going to.
You're just sitting here being a stupid.
I know. Once I get through the super chats, then I'm going to. Honestly.
She don't want that smoke.
No, because if somebody like Andrew sends through $100.
So basically, Chrissy is playing the live stream where Chrissy's subscribers went over to Jessica's channel. That's why some of it is so fast. And Chrissy is commenting on this dialogue between Jessica X and one of Chrissy's subscribers. So Chrissy's argument was Jessica's a terrible debater because she keeps stopping to read super chat, and the reason why she labeled her the $5 pick me is because she claims most of the super chats are $5, and she said earlier that none of the men give sizable donations. I saw Ike alone give $2.50 to Kevin Samuels the other day. And there are a number of brothers in Kevin Samuels' chat that consistently give nothing under $100 per super chat.
Wait. Hold on. So we've switched from intellectually talking about a topic and having facts to support it to pocket watching?
Exactly.
So, you know what? That's a video I gotta make. Ku Klux Klan Chrissy. Ku Klux Klan Chrissy pocket watching Jessica X instead of discussing topic.
And the thing about it is this: not only is that false, because Kevin Samuels and others are consistently getting, $100 super chats, right? I can't even remember. Chrissy said years ago, before she started on the black male hate, she used to actually get a lot of money from male subscribers. That came out of her mouth when this whole thing started off with Kevin. So Chrissy knows that men will put their hand in their pocket if they like what they hear. So why, and again, this is why I titled this stream. I didn't have a picture of Chrissy. I couldn't be bothered to get one and put it in the thumbnail. But these are the older women who actually lead the younger women astray. Regardless of what you think of why Jessica makes the content she makes, she is 25 years old, slim. We all saw her feet and the shadow as she walked down the street. She's a slender 25-year-old woman on the cusp of adulthood. She's about to start her life, and she's got her head screwed on in the right manner. She's gaining the knowledge that a lot of these women refuse to pick up.
No. No, she
That's
doesn't.
where the attack comes from. And it drives
She
views.
doesn't put the sisterhood first. So therefore, it's correct. See, she doesn't put the sisterhood first. I think you're a little bit wrong there. Her head is not on straight because the white woman trained sisterhood does not come first. You see, we got to be woman first. While we're asking the man to protect us, while we're asking the man to be a co-partner against the anti-blacks. See, we gotta show separation and get Jessica to hate the black man. Now she'll be correct, and we can go from there. Huh?
Yeah. And then obviously the only reason why Jessica is liked is because she's biracial. You see, it's easy to pick on Jessica. Don't get me wrong, Jessica has a large target on her back because she's got a decent following and she's got the manosphere behind her. But she's an easy target for somebody like Chrissy because Chrissy's main MO is always to go to, well, you haven't got the right to talk because you're biracial. Obviously, they're biased towards you because you're mixed race. And so it drives views and it reinforces this narrative that the dark-skinned woman is the victim. Okay? And obviously, Jessica's views are climbing nicely. So if you're going to beef with somebody to drive traffic, she's the one to pick. Because it's funny, why didn't you pick Danica Marie? Danica Marie is considerably bigger than Jessica.
It's about being a bully.
And the funny thing is this, somebody like Chrissy would be the first to call somebody a bully. Danica Marie is on 84,500 subscribers.
But Danica's about that.
Is on about 3,000.
Hold on. Danica's about that life. Danica will mess around. No, you laughing. Hey, those gold teeth are for real. Danica's about that life. See, Jessica, her delicate self, and I said this on her live. Jessica is here for the discussion. She's here for the intellectual discussion. I don't think you, Miss UK, Lady A, are going to take too much verbal assaults.
Depends.
Jessica will. Jessica will wait her turn and then ask you a very intellectual.
If I know what I've got to say, then yeah, there's a limit to how much. And that's why I shouldn't even do lives because you can't edit that out. And that's why I have to rant and shout at the kettle before I come on lives because I'm pacing up and down in the kitchen and it's like, oh, now I've got that out of my system. Now I can go online and act like a half human being. Because if the temper, once the red mist descends, I'm not really accountable for what comes out afterwards.
Well, you could always do this. You can make an audio recording on your phone, yell at me, send it to me in a zip. I will be your editor. I'll edit it like a good journalist and put it out. Hey. Let me also say this before I put myself back on mute. To the people who saying Cynthia G's sisters are with biracial children, yes, both of her sisters and her cousin, that's her two sisters and her cousin, are all abandoned by white men. So none of them are married to the fathers of their children. But that's nothing they talk about, sir. Jake, shout out to you. They don't, Cynthia G and her sister and her cousin don't talk about the white men who left them. That's not a shot at you, Jake. That's just awareness. They talk about black men. Now, anything You should be mad at the white man who left you with a biracial baby. I know my auntie is mad, and she don't even have a baby.
You have something playing. Or is that
That's
me?
not me. That's not me.
Sorry. Sorry.
That was the.
I want to find out how many subscribers
Lady A
just
telling me to shut up.
started playing a video. Sorry, go ahead.
That was Lady A telling me to shut up. That was my signal. Go ahead, my dear.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
No, darling. Carry on. Carry on.
No, say what you were saying. Say what you were saying.
No, all I was saying was that, Cynthia doesn't keep that same energy. Her and her sisters and her cousin, they got left by white men.
Mm.
So that should be their number one videos. But see, this is why I feel for people like Cynthia and the rest of them. They really want we men to be mentally there. And I understand that. But there are mental guys out here. But you got to come to where we're at. We don't come down to.
Are you kidding me? Why did this thing start again? Oh, sorry. You know what it is? When you have a video.
That's your lover calling, darling.
Why you gotta be exposing my business for?
That's your lover calling.
This YouTube, man, this YouTube is crazy. I tell you what it is. When you leave the video sitting there long enough, it just starts playing it.
Have you noticed how people, when they start off a lie, they stutter a little bit? Go ahead, Miss.
Way too much troubles. Just stop. This is 4 days ago. Nikki Millennium. She had a decent video, but I can't believe it. Confirmed. Crystalline Kerosene is not going back to Kevin Samuel's show. This was allegedly 4 days ago. But you've just made video after video. I mean, this whole High Value Man series that she's doing is just an onslaught and a character assassination of Kevin. This is the third person she's brought on now to basically check Kevin Samuels for Crystalline.
But she says she doesn't attack black men. Her fan says there's no evidence that she goes after black men. Shouldn't she be celebrating all the white husbands coming on her platform to say, I just married another black woman? Where are they? Oh, they're in Europe somewhere. They're in Romania marrying a black woman. They're in Germany marrying a black woman. Crystalline Kerosene can't get these redneck white mayonnaise guys to marry these USA black women. Anytime you see a white guy bending the knee, he is from England. He is from France. He is from Pakistan. He is from Mubawi. You might get one white guy within 5 years to bend the knee. Why? Because the census show it has dropped down 1.7% from what it was in 2010. It's only 2.3 white husbands. Yes, they are white daters because the porn movie Ghetto Gaggers gave lots of white guys a black fantasy. So giving you some money for 6 months or a year or 2 years for me to just have sex with you and date you is normal, but I'm not taking you to the altar. Guess what? When you are on your third white guy and it still ain't worked out, stop getting on YouTube talking about how terrible black men are. And for you black dudes, you sitting up here thinking that these white chicks are great. Check out my video I just dropped about the 32-year-old white woman molesting the teenage boy, his mama leaving the boy unprotected, And now the 32-year-old white woman, after several sexual relations with the teen, is now saying the teenage boy had raped her. Y'all better stop.
I saw that.
Y'all better stop playing.
Oh, it's a mess. It's a mess out here. When you're driven by the hatred. So I've got about 20 minutes. I don't want this to go too long because I know people are probably tired and they're busy. So we're going to move it on. You know, I don't know what I'm going to cover next with Chrissy and them lot. I mean, there's just too much. We're talking about 2-hour live streams.
I got to bounce. I'm going to hit you on WhatsApp at a later point.
Cool. Thank you for coming up. Yeah. So this one now is April Mason. This was what really kind of tipped me over the edge. Okay. April Mason came out and so she's decided to weigh in on this conversation about the high value man. All right. And you know, I know a lot of people liked April Mason. She had a lot of good talking points. I really liked the way she made the point about the woman being an asset. That was one of the first women I really heard talking about what do men need from you as a woman, not just what you can get. Okay. So she dropped this video today, fair use, fair use. And it's sad.
I don't know where they get that from. No, I got a new building. The April Mason headquarters. So excuse me, we changed the name. The April Mason and Co. headquarters. So I had to come down here this morning to let the security man in here, so we get my cameras and everything put up. And so y'all know I don't come unless I have something to say. And y'all sparked me last night, and I forgot to mention something because I was so in my zone. I forgot to mention something to you last night, and this is for the ladies. Fellas, I want you to take heed to this as well too. And we've got this notion that a man making 6 figures equal a high value man. I don't know where they get that from. A few years ago, I wrote a post, and I described what I call basic dick. Okay, so
basically, the average white man makes $50,000 a year, but you think a man making $100,000 is basic. She still hasn't apologized for those claims, and she still hasn't apologized for what she said regarding, you know, good black men coming to the rescue of women that they didn't know existed. And she's out here now also trying to jump on the Let's Get Kevin bandwagon, talking about 100,000 a year is basic.
Women are out here fighting over or trying to get a 6-figure man who is just basic dick. And this is what I mean. Let me go to my little list. Y'all know I always got a list. I always got a list. Okay, here are my list. Because this don't equal, that don't, a man making 6 figures doesn't equal he's high value. He just makes a higher income than other men. But that's not what you should be looking at and determining if he will make a good husband, a good provider. Because just because he makes 6 figures don't mean his behind is generous. It doesn't determine a lot of things about him. So that's what.
Now, don't get me wrong. She has a valid point. Just because a man makes good money doesn't mean he's a decent person. But we know that this is really a shot being fired at Kevin for trying to raise the expectation of black men. Because at the end of the day, one of the biggest things that people fight about is money. And she's almost saying, maybe I'm just looking at it from a bad way. It almost feels like she's saying that the intangibles are more important than the tangibles. And I'm like, love cannot pay bills. Love cannot put food on the table. Love cannot help with the opportunities that you want to put before your children. And so I feel like this desperation to take a shot and then to call a man who has worked his way up to 100,000 plus as basic, I just think that's such a disrespect, because the average black man is making 40,000 in America. So when you are making more than double that, how can you be called basic? And we know black men are some of the most accommodating men on the planet. The vast majority of them are not out here, cracking the whip like that. So let's not pretend that you have these arrogant, chauvinistic, misogynistic, rich guys running around, putting their foot on every woman's neck like that. Okay, so the way she's talking, well, let's see what she has to say.
You gotta stop that. I want a man that makes 6 figures like me.
The women who are on that, I need a man who wants 6 figures, but I don't want anything else in return. These are the gold diggers. These are the ones talking about Birkin bags. These are the low value women who only want a man who's basically going to be an ATM and a credit card, sex, and maybe a means to some kids. So again, we've got these older women. April Mason is a grandmother, conflating like everybody is one thing. Like the women who are asking for 6-figure men are quality women, and that the men who have 6 figures are just all barbarians. That's why I did the title the way I did it, because you've got grown women like this who are 50 years old grandmothers talking some crap about, as if to say most marriages don't have problems because of money. When these women are out here calling these men broke dusty, it's not because their character is broke. It's because their pockets are broke. And we do need more men to understand that they shouldn't see 100,000 as some insurmountable task. We do need more brothers to say, I can be more, I can achieve more, I can acquire more, I can leave more to the next generation. We do need to see men who are not rappers and athletes getting into those kind of tax brackets. So for her to call a man who makes 6 figures basic, I'm not going to insult April Mason, but I'm just saying, I just felt like as a 50-year-old woman, you're supposed to know better.
A man making 6 figures don't make him a high value man. Y'all are settling for basic things. It is because you're not going deeper. So here's my list.
And she said you're settling for basic things, but how many of these women are actually landing 100 men who make 100K a year? How many of them are actually, why do you think they're calling Kevin's show? Because they don't have what it takes to get or keep these men. So what settling is happening here? You're settling in your mind, but it's not materializing in reality. If it was, you wouldn't be calling the show.
With Basic Dick. Basic Dick is a dude. He's attractive. He drives nice cars. He owns his own home, or he might have some investment property. He have a solid career or business, not just a job. He knows how to wine and dine you. He has his choice of the ladies. He dresses nice and he smells really good. He has great surface level conversation. He's a great surface level conversationalist. He says he's great in bed. He's degreed up, but he has no substance. So y'all out here fighting over the image of what 6 figures is, but y'all not concerned about his character, his integrity, if his efforts, his actions, his words, and his patterns lines up, if his consistency, his spirituality. Y'all worried about all of
Not everyone is spiritual. Not everyone's religious.
Other things that you're deeming high value, but that's not what makes a person high value. That just means that they know how to go out and make some money, and he's a provider. That's fine. Well, he's a provider to himself because he hasn't proven that he can provide or will provide for you. So when I'm hearing so many women, I need to make 6 figures, you're looking at only his pocket. And a lot of these 6-figure dudes, they lead with their pocket and their penis. But there's no substance behind that. That's basic dick. So why y'all out here tripping? I'm not settling for nobody to make less than 6 figures. If you're not worried about his character, his integrity, his spirituality, spirituality, his honesty, and all of that stuff, you already settling, sis. You already settling. So men out here thinking, yeah, I'm a six-figure man because
no. Even a lot of brothers who make six figures are not running around, throwing their wee on the table, telling everybody what time it is. A lot of the guys who even make six figures are still getting overlooked because they don't come with the glitz and glamour of maybe being in corporate America or something. So this idea that these men are running around super entitled because they make six figures or high five figures, it's not even true.
I have made this much money, I live this way, and I don't want no woman that ain't beautiful. Just because you make money and you got a Cora and you own some property, that don't make you a high value man. You do know men with money get left all day, every day. You know what I mean? They get left all day, every day, because that's all they have to offer. So develop the other parts of you. We done got it so twisted. It's like, if he don't make six figures or don't have a degree, he's not a high value man. You know, it's some degreed up, paid up fools. Okay? And they have this thing that just because I can do what's on my basic dig list, that makes them valuable. But once again, their value, just like I said last night about the ladies, their value is coming from what they do, not who they are. That's different. So a lot of y'all brothers out here running around with your six figures thinking that, you can just treat women any kind of way or talk to them any one kind of way because you're viewing yourself as higher value than them. No. If I can't have a conversation with you, child, I'm going to be up out of here. If I can't have a genuine conversation other than surface level stuff. You can always tell a man that does not have any substance. Start having a real conversation with him. He got some money though.
About what?
He got some money though, girl. He can buy you a bag.
A real conversation about what?
So fellas, I want you to know that don't get duped out here listening to all of these people talking about, yeah, you a because you're a six-figure man that makes you high value. No, it does not. It just makes you a higher earner. It doesn't make you a higher value man than a man that makes $50,000 a year, but has substance, has spirituality, understands his positioning as a masculine man. He's not no beta man walking around here. He don't respond like a female.
What, like the guy that you recruited to lambaste the manosphere talking about ham and cheese? Like, what are you talking about? You got a guy with a dashiki to come on and tell black men that they're boys because they wouldn't come to your defense. Is that not a beta male? I'm just asking, April.
He don't get in his emotions and react like a female. When he walks in the room, his presence is, I am a man, whether I make $10 a year or $10 million a year. A lot of y'all don't have that type of confidence. So you think you're deserving of a better type of woman because of your pocketbook.
Okay, even if they did think they deserve a better type of woman, are those women out there? You see, we're kind of on this circular loop that, that's why I'm a let it burn type of person and let them go to the wall type of person. Because you can't build with people who don't want to build. And you can't go anywhere with people who are not going in the same direction. And one hand has to wash the other. Okay? The man has to bring the tangibles and the intangibles. The woman has to bring the tangibles and the intangibles. What April Mason is saying is not wrong, but it's very easy to get it misconstrued that it's better to have. And there is a truth to that. If you have a nice guy who's well-rounded, who makes less money, don't forego the actual decent brother just because a guy has more money. There's truth to what she's saying, but I feel like you don't have to take a shot at the high value man image, because we do need more men who do have that character to also step their game up and perform. Okay? It's just that simple. And this idea that black men who have the six figures are running around like Billy Big Bollocks, hitting down everybody and, abusing all the women. That's just something that isn't happening. April Mason was somebody who was bragging to Crystalline Kerrison that when she had a boyfriend, he was giving her an AMAX, she was up in a penthouse apartment, and he was paying for everything and she had an allowance. I didn't see you complaining about the money and the six figures then. Now I get it, he maybe had the substance and the character, but you wasn't turning down that money. You wanted both. And other women have to have both as well. You may not get that six-figure guy, but that guy has to be rounded. He has to be wise. He has to have enough money to take care of the house and lead. He has to have the tangibles and the intangibles. But the fact that she had to come out and make this video about the high value man, we know it's just a shot at Kevin once again, because Kevin is part of the manosphere, and the manosphere really told this lady April about herself when she made the video she made. So maybe she's still a little bit stung about that. So I'm not going to go into that because I didn't watch the whole video. I don't want to do a reaction to it.
She's not going to fool with you, because asset women don't just look at how much money you bring to the table. We look at a lot more than that, and we'll probably pick somebody that makes less money than you, all because he has more sense than you. You have book smart. You know how to go make that money.
So this is basically an insinuation that,
but you don't know how to be in tune in an intimate way. You know how to have sex. You have no clue what intimacy is, and you have no emotional intelligence.
yeah, I mean, she's got a valid point. You got to be well-rounded. This is what I'm going to end with, because this was the real nightmare of nightmares. I was so disappointed. I couldn't believe that Rebecca Lynn Pope, and I suppose it's because we built her up so much in our minds, I couldn't believe that Rebecca Lynn Pope came out and said what she said. So I'm just going to end it with this one. Just going to be here a few minutes, and then that's it. Okay?
I have a husband. I have a puppy. I have a house. I have, and I'm not saying that to say, I'm throwing stones at people, because if you find yourself in a place where, you need to work on your own life, you need to build in real life, you need to work on you. This has got to be goals for 2021. It's got to be goals, because this social media stuff, guys, will have you so hemmed up and so jacked up that you'll start to consume all this stuff and be so out of pocket, and you don't know if you're coming or going, or what's up, what's down, what's real, what's not, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I mean, this stuff is so jacked up nowadays. And the enemy, so here we go, y'all.
Oh my God. Like, I'm a Christian, right? But nothing winds me up more than when people go super spiritual when this is a natural problem or it has a natural solution. When she mentioned the word the enemy, I literally cringed, because the enemy has been working for a long time to turn men and women against each other, long before social media actually came on the scene. So what enemy is Rebecca Lynn Pope talking about? Okay, this was the first thing that really...
The enemy.
The other thing that really grinds my gears is adverts. Stop.
Wickedness.
So basically, Kevin is wicked. Let's just call it what it is. The wickedness is Kevin. How dare Kevin tell?
Principalities of darkness. What does this look like, guys? See, and I know you're not expecting me to come on and preach, but there are forces at will. There are forces that are not on the side of hope, love, grace, peace.
So basically, Kevin is the agent of this dark force. That's what she wants to spit out and say, but she's not getting there quite quickly enough. Okay? But that's what she wants to say. Kevin is the agent of this dark force.
Joy, abundant life, purpose, blessings.
Notice Kevin never said this woman couldn't have all these things. All he said was, in the current state that you are at, with the expectations that you have, there is a disconnect. And because you cannot meet the criteria of the kind of men you say you want, you will not get anything, because you, by your own admission, said the men who make less than you are beneath you. So you only have up to look, and the men who are up may not want you. And when you look down, you're like, I don't want them, which means you are in what is known as between the rock and the hard place. Because she is leading with her money, she thinks she is entitled to the men above. And she doesn't want to entertain the ones below. This is why I think Rebecca Lynn Pope did not watch even the 22-minute full clip where you see the dialogue between Kevin and this woman from start to finish. You only see the little bit where he goes off on her. That's what I feel like she is actually basing this extremely emotional response upon.
There are, I'm trying to stay focused. So my honest
Here we go.
to this video
Oh, here we go.
is when he spoke to her the way he did. I wasn't thinking about no freaking viral video. I'm thinking about her.
Were you? Okay.
Her.
Good.
I'm thinking about this young girl.
Oh. So this is where this video came from. This is where this video came from. This statement right here. 13 years ago, this woman was pushing out a child. 14 years ago. 14 years ago, she was conceiving a child. So how is it she's a young girl at 35, but a grown woman at 22? These are the older women that do not hold younger women accountable and send them down the river into destruction. This is why you have older women that cannot be accountable, because you have older women like this telling them 35 is not adult. And the fact that she had this overly emotional response lets us know that the older women in the community, a lot of them cannot be turned to guide the next generation of women into adulthood. This is why they're online, and they've had decades of Chrysaline. They've had years of Cynthia G and Chrissy in Paris, and they're still spinning around with no man. That's why they're on Kevin's show, because they're tired of this, the theatrics. A lot of crying and sobbing, and grown women calling, a 35-year-old mother and a business owner a young girl. Now, granted, if you haven't watched the whole video, I can understand why you'd think she was young, because she doesn't look 35 to me. But once you've called into the show, you are an adult on an adult show. And Kevin is giving his professional advice, and she is sobbing and blubbering like a damn fool over a grown woman who cannot even sit quietly enough to not play with her phone. I told you, this is why I don't do live streams. I was so disappointed when Rebecca came out and started crying, talking about she's thinking about this girl, because at the end of the day, you become an enabler when you are somebody emotional like this. You may be sparing her feelings in the short term, but in 10, 15 years' time, when she is still single, she's not going to thank you for this emotional response. But the women who are getting it right and getting right, they can turn back and say, Kevin, you woke me up when I was walking asleep. I was sleepwalking into the rest of my life. Now, can Kevin help everybody? Obviously not, because you cannot help people who don't want to be helped. But are some women actually going to take his advice and start to begin the process of changing? Of course. So this pushback really is a manifestation of how Black women like to keep the Black community in a state of dysfunction, and they use victimhood and they use the demonization of men trying to hold women accountable as a tool to keep the entire community suppressed. What we have seen is just a divide between men and women are upset that somebody dared to check a black woman, and now these men will start getting ideas above their station. Because her husband, with all due respect to me, is a man who is more submissive than she is. Because he's from that generation of men who are happy wife, happy life. And he's always praising and reverencing his wife. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's your wife. That's what you should do. But I feel like it goes beyond respect. And I don't necessarily feel like he is the kind of man. He's the kind of man who will always blame men regardless of what a woman does. That's my personal belief of Rebecca Lynn Pope's husband, Kerry Pope. And so this emotional response is why a lot of black women are in the mess they're in. Processing through their emotions and looking to these older women. You've got Paris. I can't remember the name of the woman. She was a restaurant owner. She developed Alzheimer's, and her husband apparently was having a relationship with a white woman. You've got Paris calling him Dusty Dan and his woman Trickothot Scarecrow. You've got Cynthia G, who labels every man who disagrees with her a Dusty. You've got Crystalline and Chrissy agreeing with the Dusty trope, complaining about black men all day, whinging about colorism. These women are in their 30s and 40s, and Rebecca and Crystalline are approaching 50. And this is who the generations coming up of young women are looking to and thinking this is what a successful older black woman looks like. And then we wonder why the community looks the way it does. I always say this: the first teacher is the mother. The mother passes culture from one generation to the next. So when you corrupt the minds of the women, you automatically destroy and derail the whole community. And when you have a grown woman crying because you know he's telling the truth, but he hurt her fees, we cannot grow as a group because we have too many black women who are immature. Where it really counts, there is no maturity. That's what I have learned in this whole thing. Because if these women can say he was right and what he said was true, but it just hurt my feelings, so I'm going to disregard the truth over feelings. Now we understand why we have so many emotional black men out here. Because they're raised in this. I could imagine Rebecca Lynn Pope sitting on the couch with her son and saying, look at that horrible man being nasty to this woman. I hope you never become like this. There's no balance in this conversation. Because I didn't like what he said, how he said it, I'm going to disregard the truth of what he said. And that brings us right back round to this conversation about should you lie to women? The answer is, unfortunately, it looks like women like to be lied to. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. And this has perfectly highlighted how much women cannot take any kind of truth or criticism. And that is why they end up derailing the whole community. So when you have women coming through saying, well, are you trying to blame women for everything? It's not so much about blame. It's about how do you shape and condition the next generation? How do you handle challenges? How do you handle criticism? Most people don't handle it well. I'm not saying I handle it well all the time either, but I'm not breaking down like this. And this is a woman who's old enough to be a grandmother. Crystalline, the same thing. But instead of acting like adults, they have huge platforms based on childish name calling, straw man arguments, and whining all day. How can anybody build a functioning community with females like this? Rebecca Lynn Pope, April Mason, I feel disappointed. But this kind of overblown emotional response, and obviously I'm not overly emotional like that. I go cry in the corner and I come back and pretend like nothing happened. But I'm like, you really got on a live to sob about a woman who has unrealistic expectations that you yourself would have told her 3 years ago, yes, your expectations are unrealistic.
Just had somebody speak to her in such a way that was so belittling and so degrading that
So when you call a man a dusty, that's not degrading. When you call all these men broke and call them all kind of names, that's not degrading. But because he called her a broad, that's the only thing he called her, a broad. I get tired of you crazy broads. That's all he said. And when he said, I think he said, get the F off my phone, he didn't call her a F in anything. He just said, get the F off my phone.
if this was my daughter, if this was my
Here we go with the if this was my daughter projection. Like,
child, if this was my niece, if this was somebody
if this was your daughter, you should have told her what she needed to do to get a man so she doesn't have to call a random man on the internet to find out how to get a man. If your niece is calling a random man, then maybe you failed. That's what you need to think about.
and I don't know who she is.
Call her, find out. She's on Facebook.
But my heart, young lady, we'll call her. Maybe she's not a girl, but she was a young lady.
Middle-aged
My
woman.
heart said, no, it's not right. I got some tissues, baby. Thank you. It's not right.
Do you sob and do you shed this many tears over things that, and I don't want to turn this into a black man versus black woman thing, but do you shed this many tears over the things that black men go through? What the hell's your channel? I bet you don't. Oh. Okay. Let's see what you talk about on your channel. So you're not an alpha. This is another character video. This is probably very similar to what April Mason just put out. Blessings in abundance. The way life centered. Dare to be different. Conquering. Maybe he did put out this video. I haven't watched it yet. My masochistic self is looking. You are good enough. Friend zoned. The naked truth. I believe in you. It's okay to let go. Let's. Why do women consistently choose what? Why do women consistently choose bad boys? And I bet you any money, instead of saying like you were raised to just condition, that's what your mother showed you or whatever, somehow it's like, it's not the woman's fault. She's looking for a father figure and the father left the home. That's why she's looking for a father figure. So she went to the bad boy. I can almost predict this video before I watch it. If he says anything other than that, I have to find something strange and eat it or something, because I doubt very much he will go and say your mother set a bad example and didn't set you up for life.
Because you don't know.
Bye. And yet, she's got a point. You don't know what people are going through. They could actually be ill and they're calling into the show. So I understand that Kevin has to be very careful if he's calling in, he's doing these shows, because these are people you don't know how fragile they are. But this instance, it has highlighted a lot, and I'm pretty sure this woman is going to be just fine. Her dog grooming business is going to do very well. A lot of people are going to be like, are you the one from the viral video? Oh my gosh, he was so horrible to you. Here, take my 16 dogs and groom all of them. And I'm sure there's a lot of men wanting to, quote unquote, console her. So let's not pretend like some of this wasn't potentially for clout. Going forward, Kevin, doesn't necessarily want to put himself in this kind of position again. But I suppose this is what makes his show interesting. We like the dysfunction, we like the chaos, we like seeing people get reamed out. We like it. We like all that kind of stuff. We are entertained by it. So to cry about it as if this is not what black people like and want is another hypocritical move. Stop pretending as though we're all just innocent lambs and he's just a monster. We like this stuff. World Star is proof of that. World Star wouldn't be the platform it is if people didn't like seeing other people saying and doing certain things. And somebody must have corrected her in the chat saying she's not a young girl, she's like a 35-year-old. She's a 35-year-old woman, sis. And then she still turned around and said, young lady. He's low vibration. His delivery was from the pit of hell. I'm so concerned for the young lady. He mental stability right now. I think that's supposed to be her. Her stability maybe is as strong as your ability to type. It's psychotic. No, let God work. This person you can see is a man. He's like, she was not a young girl. She's 35. He's a lower entity. He's terrible. He's lower entity because he's telling women the truth. But this has opened the dialogue, and give it enough time, they will come back. They will piggyback on everything Kevin has done and built once the dust settles and pretend as if this is what they've been saying the whole time. And some of them have, but they gave up because they weren't getting the response from women.
Where someone is at in life. And when you have a heart after God and you have a heart after seeing good for people and you want the best for people.
You cannot hope. Look, black people have a lot of hope like crack. Okay? We're tired. We're overdosed on the hope. We need some strategies. Okay? We're tired of the mystical. We're tired of the fanciful thinking and the wishful thinking. A lot of women wouldn't need you guys if the older generation of women had set them up right. And somebody actually pointed out, this woman didn't come to Rebecca, and if she did, she moved on. So everybody just needs to support Kevin to let him do his work, because that rising tide will eventually raise all boats. But to attack him for telling the truth when you know what he said was right.
You don't say things like that to people. In this video, I want to draw a line in the sand. My name gets brought up so much when it comes to Kevin Samuels because I did a video 3 years ago.
And this is the thing. Kevin Samuels talks about Rebecca Lynn Pope a lot. But it was other members of the manosphere who actually promoted Rebecca's video. Kevin uses her a lot because he wants to show that no matter how harsh you think what he's saying is, there are black women, attractive black women, who will tell you the same thing. But this is a public service announcement. Stop using Rebecca Lynn Pope's name, because she doesn't like the fact that she's almost being associated with the manosphere, because she doesn't want to be associated with quote unquote scandal. But she and him were saying the same thing. So
a lot of men who are hurting, a lot of men who are bitter, a lot of men who have had their hearts hurt by women took one video I did about some women.
So that's shaming language. I'm not saying that there's no truth in that, but you need to make it clear that it's a handful of men. A lot of men just suffer in silence. And that's why this has had such a polarizing effect, because a lot of men out there are saying, thank God somebody said what I've wanted to say for a long time and couldn't.
having too high of expectations, and some women being too influenced by social media, and that some women are barracudas, and some women of all colors, not black women. I see it in white women, Puerto Rican women, all types of women. A lot of these, there's a segment of women, just like there's a segment of men who are delusional, who have too high of expectations. But is that all women?
He never said all women. He never said all women. He's talking to that woman. Again, conflating when we need to separate and separating when we need to bring it together. He didn't say all women. He's talking to her. She is the one who's deluded. And Rebecca's trying to make this about these men bashing all women.
It's not all women. All women are not delusional. All women are not barracudas. All women are not gold diggers or users.
He never said they were.
Okay, so I'm saying that because somebody want to speak for me and say what I'm saying. My life is dedicated to helping people heal. My life is dedicated to making a difference in people's lives. What is my mission? My mission is abundant life. My mission is for everybody to do.
You can't help people be more than they want to be. And you can't heal people who won't accept that there's a problem. And that's what Kevin is trying to get these women to understand. A lot of the issues that you are going through are your own making. You are consistently in the same kind of problems because you have not evolved as a person, and your understanding of how things work or how things should work or what you can achieve is off. And we've had decades of the Steve Harveys and the Feel Good and the Oprahs and the books and the DVD collections and the oils and the crystals and the going to the seminars and 10 steps to this and 5 steps to that. It's time we all just grew up a little bit. And that's what I find in the comment section all the time. Grown women whinging and whining about stupid things that as a grown woman in other cultures wouldn't even be a conversation. And I'm not saying I'm the most mature. I'm out of my friends, I'm the least mature. And if I get on here and say, you are acting like a kid, there's a real problem. But time after time, you open the comment section and all you find is whinging grown women who have kids. If you were a small girl like 18, 19, I could have understood the kind of comment because you're a youth, you're a child. Your life experience is limited. But when you've got Rebecca Lynn Popes close to 50 whinging about some of the same things, you just have to say, look, let's throw in the towel and accept it's over. Because you can't build with grown women who don't know how to act like adults. And I'm not saying you have to come up to whatever level, because then that would incriminate myself. But when you're out here talking about he hurt her feelings, you shouldn't speak to her like that. Where's the logic? Where's the reasoning? Where's the mature thought process? Where's the objectivity? Grown women talking about feelings. And then you train your children to be as emotional and as flimsy as you. Because everything has to be about feelings and sparing everyone's feelings. And while you're sparing their feelings, that person's life is going into the ditch. That's what Jessica said about Chrissy. And Chrissy said, how can you say I'm leading these women into a ditch? Well, why are they still knocking about with you how many years later, all still single? Grown women crying on the internet because a 35-year-old mother got told, your expectations are too high, you need to adjust. Turns out I think she lives somewhere where there's hardly any men, period. And she's talking about a 6-figure man in an area where probably people barely make 5. I mean, but you have a child. You have a child, somebody who looks up to you to be a guidance to them. This is what I mean about, we say in the Black community we love children, but do we love children? Do we really love children? Why did Crystalline bring that guy, Lance, on the show? Because he's community property. After Lance had a mentor, he's going to go out and try and save all these other children that he didn't help to create. And these women love men like this because a man like this is going to give and give and give and never hold these women accountable for anything they do. And I told this story once before, and there's other versions of the same story. I don't know how true it is. There was this man who hated the Bible, and he came across a man printing Bibles. So he said, I'm going to buy all these Bibles and then I'm going to burn them. So he went into the shop or the store or whatever, and he said, give me the Bibles, I'll take all of them. Obviously, the man sold him all the Bibles. He came by again. The guy had more Bibles, more than before and more again. So he said, I'm going to take them and I'm going to burn them. And he kept doing this to the point where the man had made so much money from selling this guy all the Bibles. He now produced so many Bibles, the guy couldn't afford to buy them all. So now the guy has literally, in his attempt to destroy the Bible, funded its spread. This is why brothers are like, we don't support mentoring. Not because we don't want to see the boys who have potential get the help they need, but because in so trying to help, if those boys do not return the favor, you become an enabler of a bad behavior. All this, I'm here to heal and hope and this, you're there basically to enable people who don't want to do the work. And a time has to come where you have to say, I'm really sorry, this shop is shut. Until you're ready to put in as much as I'm willing to put in, we are not going anywhere. You can pretty up all you want. I'm a healer and I'm here to help and I'm here to bless. Definitely people need grace when they're broken. They need love and they need those things. But at the same time, you've got to assess, does this person need love, or do they need a little bit of tough love? And a lot of us, this is why there's a saying, bend the tree when it's young. The scripture says, train up the child in the way he should go, and when he's old he will not depart. If these lessons had been established early, this is why Jews have bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. This is why tribal people have rites of passage, because a clear delineation has to be made between childhood and adulthood. And in the Black community, in the West in particular, you have a culture of, we want to force adulthood on children, but then at the same time, then make adults into kids again. Adults who have kids are now going back for a second childhood when they should be investing and enriching in the next generation. So this video really disappointed me because of her age, because of what she said in the past, obviously partly because of how she's been reverenced by the manosphere. And to come on here as a 50-year-old woman crying because a 35-year-old woman could not take the truth, but she can have sex, it just lets you know the Black community is in a backward state. I thought, you're not gonna like me. This I ain't got no friend. And I don't care either.
Okay? Everyone.
You can't want people to do well more than they want to do well for themselves. You can inspire them. You can try to lead them to that water, but you can't open the mouth and force the drink in. No matter how much you want to wish them to drink, they've got to choose to drink. And that's what gets lost in these kind of conversations, that you're trying to make people who don't want something want it. She doesn't want a man that doesn't make 6 figures, even if she doesn't qualify for a man that makes 6 figures. So no matter how much you try to hope it away, that's the situation, Rebecca. and women
My
like
honest
Rebecca.
response- That's right. I'm a healer. That's right, music girl. I'm a healer. I am a healer. At the end of the day, I am a healer. Do I bring correction? Do I come and say the things that need to be said for correction for men, for women, for everybody? Yes, all day long. All day long, I bring correction. But I do it from a place of love. I'm not doing it from a place of hurt. I'm not doing it from a place of bitterness. I'm not doing it from a place of toxic. Okay? I'm not toxic. Why can I say that? Because I've done the work to heal my life. I've done the work to have healthy relationships. I've done the work to be able to be married and be happy and healthy. I had to work through so much junk.
Exactly. You have to work through your junk. And this girl wants a quick fix. She wants the cheat code to the six-figure man. She doesn't want to do the work. And when Kevin said, book the session so we can start the work, she's like, no, I want a free session on air. And I want you to tell me quickly, how can I get this man and what do I need to do and where do I need to find him? That's the bit that's missed here. Now, don't get me wrong. It was uncomfortable to watch, but Kevin's not a healer. He's a guy giving dating advice on a YouTube show. And he has other people around him. And he always says, get therapy, get a life coach, get a dating coach. If she's watched the show, she's supposed to know that's what she's supposed to be on. But she wants the cheat code and she wants the 5 minutes of fame.
To work on myself. To be able to be at such a great place in life. What do I turn around and do? I teach people how to do the same. I teach people how to heal. I teach people how to move past it.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
my honest response is this. Is that
Kevin,
first
keep your
of
name
all,
out my mouth. Get my name out
that's
your
not
mouth.
coaching. It's an opinion. It's sensationalism. It's Kevin is he's got a platform. He can give, people are tuning in to a show where it's like entertainment. It's where people are tuning in order to be able to have conversations and be entertained. Is it coaching? It's not.
I don't know if he
Not
ever
I'm
told
saying
anybody he was a coach.
I'm saying that Kevin has got a platform, and he is on his platform producing a show. But is that life coaching?
No, Rebecca, the question you need to ask is it true? That's the question you need to ask, Rebecca. Is it true? What he said, was it true? I don't know why I'm shouting at this computer so hard. I really believe like she can hear me, but I'm glad she can't because I think someone would have to call police. I'm like, the point is, I know what he said was harsh. I get it. But is it true? Going back to the dating coach that said lie to the women. Derek Jackson is on over 700,000 subscribers. And all he does is pander to women and tell them everything's going to be all right. It's not your fault. That man is laughing all the way to the bank on women's dime and insecurities. And she's here crying about him insulting one woman. And she will still be in the same position 10 years from now, listening to Derek Jackson and going to her for healing. Was he right in the way he acted? Was he 100% professional? Could he have been a little bit out of his depth? You know the answer to those questions. But the bigger question is what he says, is it true? If it's true, that's where you need to start. Start there. You've got a pastor for a husband. You're spiritual and in the church. What does the scripture say? You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Acquiring the truth is like being in a jail cell and the door is unlocked. You have now been equipped to go free. But are you going to walk in the freedom, or are you going to remain in the lie? Once you have the truth, you have the choice to stay bound or go free. And a lot of women rather stay bound and complain about their dark skin and this and that and what men like and what men are saying on the internet, instead of opening the jail cell, taking the truth, and going and living their life with the truth. I told you, you're not going to like me today, bro. Because I got my head on backwards.
Okay? No.
Did he tell you he was a coach? Other people calling him a coach. He's a stylist.
On how
How's he called?
to turn your life around.
Fashion guru.
How to be able to be
Image
in a happy,
consultant.
healthy relationship. At no point was there anything to build anyone up. There was no advice, no hope, and what I've consistently seen is that it's just a bunch of bashing.
Oh, here we go with the emotive language. It's just a bunch of bashing.
What is trauma bonding?
It's just a bunch of... Oh, this is the new word of 2020.
It's where people find compatibility and find something in common with someone over toxic ties, over common experiences, pain, and trauma. And guess what? Across social media, guys, we are seeing this play out consistently. I literally watch it the way social media algorithms work. Social media algorithms play to wherever you're at in life. And so if you go looking for something to validate you and how you feel and where you're at, right, you're going to find it on social media. That's going to make you feel validated for how you feel.
That's why we know Rebecca did not watch this video.
It's going to make you feel good. Now, am I saying that there aren't women who have unrealistic expectations? No, you guys know I've done videos.
You couldn't deny it now at 1.4 million views, can you?
But do we have to talk to them that way? No. And just like there's women who have ridiculous expectations, there's also women who don't have ridiculous expectations. There are women doing their work. There are women building a great life for themselves. There's women doing their healing work. There's women who are working on their life, who are phenomenal women, well-balanced women, who are literally ready for healthy relationships and out here looking for a great guy.
And probably they're overweight, old, have kids. They're not bringing their best self to the table.
It's not either or. It's all of the above. There's everything out here. So when you go,
you lost me when you started crying.
Here's what's happening.
I literally was like, "What?
With social media,
did I wake up in a different uniform?"
It's overgeneralizing everything. Everything.
Now that's true.
It's like all women are like this, or all men are like this, and that's not true. It's not true. For every woman that's toxic and hurting, or the woman that's hurt, the man that's resonating with this stuff, guess what? There's another woman who's done her work. There's another woman who isn't going to hurt you, who is going to love you. But that's what social media has done.
No, that's social media has only exposed a lot of the things that were already there.
Because there's all of these opinions, nobody's vetted. You don't know what these people's resumes are to be given this advice. They're just on giving their advice.
Yeah, do you have a video against Derek Jackson? Because Derek Jackson has 750,000 and you've got 39. You've got 39,000. He's got nearly double the number of subs. No, what am I saying? He's got like 20 times the number of subs. Did you ask him about his credentials, or does it because he talks to them nicely? You know, this is the kind of crap we're talking about with grown black women. Grown black women. Right, this is the last thing. You know, we watched this video with this Lance guy. What's Crystalline up to? She's live now. 45, black, make 6-figure with a kid. Here's hope. So this is Crystalline now live, must be talking to the black woman that Kevin. And once again, what do we see? Hope dealing hope like crack. No one said that she couldn't find a man. What she said is the men who are checking for her, she doesn't want them. They are beneath her. Okay? That's what she said. Oops, it's the wrong video. Oops. How do I get in this? Suggestion. Go down. Where's that video? So, I had a real gripe about this thing. Right? They interviewed this guy. He turns around and says what he says. And I went back and I was looking for the comments on the mentor. I'm going to end it with this. Okay. Kyle Johnson says, it was the mentorship talk for me. I know this video was meant for women, but Lance actually laid out the path for black men here. Awesome interview. So this guy obviously is working for the Gynocracy, and he gets 800 likes because he didn't say it was actually the mentor who paid for the guy to go to college. Then you got a lot of women. Dusty's calling him simps. And then I have to scroll till one of my fingers fall off before I find the other singular comment, also by a man. Impressive, very impressive. More Lance growth are needed to grow the community. Sadly, black men of his caliber are terribly few and far-fetched. What, like a workhorse who will literally just go and build up everybody else's kids when they have no kids? It's going to get more scarce. Starlight, I don't know what this is, but I'm assuming this is a female because of the avatar, said, we need to emphasize connection building in the black community. This man had a mentor that made him go to college, which led to a law degree. He got his start working under another professional black man. We have networks already. While there are people making videos demeaning black women, there are wealth building opportunities that are being missed. This is why Chrysalis says no wedding, no womb. If the suitor refuses to do the work to build himself, he doesn't deserve your time. It started off so good, and then it was like a plane at 30,000 feet with no engines. It was like, oh. And then this one says he has strong work ethic, values education, and self-discipline. And then he attributes it to the mother who said, we can't dream because even dreams cost. We just have to survive. So this is why a lot of men are not in the stepdaddy game. This is why a lot of men are not in the mentoring game. They're not in teaching because there's no gratitude. The same women who want you to build don't even recognize you when you actually build. This has over 1,000 comments. And so far, 1,166. Now, obviously, some of those are responses. But when we look at the original comments, there are only 2 that talk about the mentor. And only 1 that really gives him any kind of props. The rest are like, the mother is so awesome and he's so hot. This is the level of maturity of the next generation of mothers and women. I told you, you're not going to like me today, boy, because my head is screwed on backwards. I think these dudes are trying to pick up dates. That's the only reason they'd be in Kara's chat. No, they're matriarchal thinking men who are raised to be traditional while they get nothing in return for their traditional behavior. Because don't forget, Lance is a catch. Lance is a man who's successful, he's accomplished, and he's even attractive. So how come he hasn't found a wife yet? At 37, close to 40, how come he hasn't found a wife yet? So we got to ask ourselves this. If he's so eligible and he's ready to start his legacy, where's the woman? And Crystalline and all the others can produce content till their eyes fall out. If the women are not willing to do the work to be the kind of women that these kind of men want, you will always have a disconnect. So I know I said a lot. I jumped on my soapbox, but we've got a real problem with maturity of women in the Black community. And until women come to the realization that a lot of the times the guys that are on their level are the Pookies and Ray Rays because of their maturity, not because of the money or the status or the job, you will never have progress in the community. Because immature people cannot raise a mature next generation. So I really appreciate everybody who came through. George Golden, King Maya, how are you doing? The good old boys, the good old boys club, Jake. Shout out to you because I'm a Fury, always showing that love and support. Appreciate you. IB, I know you're still watching. I just teasing you. Manu 12. What's this woman's OnlyFans? You're gonna help her out with some money. Who else came through? Stoic One, shout out to you. DJ Naf, really appreciate you. Yeah, this is where we're at. As much as this was painful watching the way Kevin has been dragged, he's handled it really well. I really hope that he has success, and this will hopefully open that dialogue between men and women. It's great to see, women finally coming to the table, weapons down, ears open. Instead of coming to the table defensive, they're coming to the table ready and willing to start listening and learning. And I know that's got the colorism crying crew scared, because their bread and butter comes from telling women what they want to hear. But there's an expression, some has to die for others to live. And for the community to live, a lot of this negativity and immaturity is going to have to start to die. So that's all I got for this one. I said I was going to make it 2 hours. Black women stay lying all the time. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Share this video with somebody who needs to see it. Like, if you didn't like it, dislike, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.